ready to go. And I won't take too long. You know, you've covered a lot of good stuff. I'm glad you went first this time. I think last time I talked with you. Hey, this is exciting. All right, good deal. Really wasn't sure. Should have faith in it. All right. So a lot of these things he's already mentioned, but again, I'm immigration, so we also deal with all the cases that I don't want to say fall through the cracks, but when folks don't follow these things, then we unfortunately have to get involved. And so we want you to be realistic with what can happen to you. What's the worst of the worst, you know? So my supervisor and I, we deal with a lot of people who are facing deportation, who are facing criminal matters. Obviously, these are things that are way beyond you, but we want you to have an understanding of them so that you can make sure that's never you, okay? I'm going to talk a little bit about the system in the United States, right? You have immigration status, and you also have criminal offenses, right? You can be arrested for something, and you can go to court, but then there's a separate court for immigration matters. So I want you to understand that those two things are different, but they also work together. Because you are not U.S. citizens, you have to worry about both. Sometimes you can get arrested for a small offense, which for a normal student, my father can pay for an attorney, I'll get on probation, no problem. But you as an immigrant, you need to be concerned and make sure that whoever is representing you also understands the immigration side of things. So unfortunately, I have to start with the heavy stuff because my supervisor wanted me to. But because we're going to start with those things and then we'll go to kind of lighter things. Deportation proceedings, that's what we call it when you go to a trial, right, to determine whether or not you will be removed from the United States. As everyone pointed out, there's no one person that can say you're out of the country. That doesn't happen. You have due process, you have a procedure in place, there's a judge that can make a determination on your status, okay? You have rights. After graduation, I think you guys all know, there's a 60-day period, right? So you're an F1 student, you have a 60-day, I call it a one-way grace period. Can you go home and come back to pack up your things? No. That 60 days is to get yourself organized and depart unless you have something else in line, okay? So if you're planning to go to another college or to continue, all those things have to be kind of a seamless transition. We always bring this up because this is something that many people fall victim to. There are a lot of individuals in the United States that are out there and they are claiming to be helping you, but they are not qualified to do so. I personally have prosecuted and investigated cases of people who are claiming to help you, but they are not attorneys. They are just people in the community that are taking advantage of the situation. They will offer to help you to do your forms. It's a cheaper price maybe. They will kind of tell you what immigration options that you have. This is all legal counsel. You have to have an attorney to help you to do this. And you can always check. Everyone who is an attorney will be in one of the, if you want to practice immigration law, you can be an attorney in any state. It doesn't have to be an attorney in Florida. It can be any state, but you have to be in the bar. You have to be registered, and that's something that you can look up. This is my boss. He loves me to bring up these certain cases. These are just criminal cases in Florida. This is one that we prosecuted in 2013. This was a woman who was taking money from immigrants, and these are legal, people who were legal here and needed help. So she took their money, but she never actually filed anything with USCIS. She made up her own forms, and she would give you an approval notice that looked really good, by the way, you know. And the immigrants thought that they had a benefit, when in actuality, she had never submitted anything to the government. So just know that those people are out there. I don't really want to talk about fraud right now. This is another example. I know you said we don't want to talk about marriage and all that stuff. A lot of times when people get desperate, they do stupid things, right? One of the stupidest things that you can do is engage in immigration marriage fraud. It is just not worth it. And it seems like it's not that big of a deal, but it is. And we investigate those cases. This is a woman, and this was a case that I had 2 years ago, and the whole time I just felt horrible for her. This was a woman who came in from Jamaica, and she was doing, she had kept up her status as a seasonal worker, so she came here to work in the hotel industry during certain periods of time. But it was very difficult to keep those visas up, right? And she's traveling all over, she got tired. It's exhausting. So instead, she found one of her coworkers. They worked together in the hotel. It was a kid, in my opinion, a kid. He was probably, in his 20s. But he agreed to marry her. He was doing her a favor. In the end, she gave him, all right, she said she was going to give him $6,000. But in the actuality, she gave him like $500. And the two of them ended up in federal proceedings. They both get a felony. She gets deported. I mean, it's crazy. It's just not worth it. These are kind of general things. Am I an immigrant? Not yet. As an F1, you're considered a non-immigrant for immigration purposes. What does that mean? That means that you are here temporarily, but you're legal. So it's a good thing. But if you're not yet an immigrant is the next step. That's when you want to get a green card. Once you have a green card, you're an immigrant, you're a permanent resident. You're here. Can I work? We talked about a lot. I think you guys know a lot of this stuff already. So, optional practical training, on campus, off campus, can I work? Always talk with your student advisor. That's the person who is best informed to let you know, can I work? Everybody likes to have a little extra money on the side. I mean, of course, that's why you're here. We want you to be able to work, but just doing it the right way. Can I travel home? Can I transfer schools? Can I be a part-time student? All those things. What about my family? Oh. And of course, we always want to go back to what happens. How do I fall out of status? Pretty much all the answers to those things, can I transfer schools? The answer is yes, of course you can. But always you need to speak with the representative here on campus. So make sure that immigration follows your trail, that you don't just up and go, that there's always this paper trail behind you. All right? What about my family? You know that there's also the F2 spouse visa. Your spouse can be here. The children can also attend public schools. That's certainly fine. There's no problem with any of that. So what happens? How are you out of status as an F1 student? What are the no-nos? Like what do you need to be worried about? Working without authorization, be careful. You're not full-time student, and you did not get the permission to reduce your course load, that might cause a problem. F1 is a full-time student, all right? You transferred schools, and you didn't notify your representative, maybe in USCIS, your system, the immigration system, it didn't track you, that might cause a problem. If you withdraw from campus or if you withdraw from classes, you only get 15 days to depart. So be careful there. If you decide that it's just not for you, that's okay. You can make that decision. But then you have to follow through with that decision. And of course, once you finish the program, you have the 60 days. The 60 days to depart. What can I do after I graduate? We've already kind of mentioned these things. The 539 is to extend or to change a non-immigrant status. You can file that yourself. Yes, ma'am?
What if, for example, you are in senior year and you only need like 4 credits to graduate?
Again, definitely just keep your advisor informed. As long as you are completing your degree program and doing everything that you need, we understand that. but just make sure that they're informed. Like, I'm not part-time, the only reason I'm doing this is because this is all I need that's left. They can help you just to make sure that in the system, everything looks appropriate. All right? So, we kind of talked a lot about H-1Bs. So that, again, your employer can file the I-129, that starts the H-1B process. That's something that you cannot do, an employer has to do for you. But you can file to extend or to change your F1 status, or you want to switch to a different category that you can apply for. There's also some of those. This is the next step. You already mentioned it. That is to get your green card through your own petition based on work. And again, you made a great point. Everybody here, you guys, we want you to stay. You're here because you're very good at what you're doing. So we just want to make sure that you don't fall into some of these issues with immigration. Okay? If you have any questions for me, you can see me after the session.